Welcome to England, 1375. The soil upon this is fertile and ready for a beautiful season of crops. The farmer should be very happy. But Mr. Pierce, our homely farmer, is unable to tend to his crops, much less even plant them. Farmer Pierce has the plague.
Mr. Pierce, are you all right? You're looking unwell.
No, I went into town a couple days past to buy a new tool for the garden, and there were flies buzzing all around with rats scampering on the streets. Our town is not a very clean one. One of them must have had some bad blood and gotten me sick.
Let me take a look at you. Why do you have such a large lump?
There are lumps all over my body. It is as if these flies laid their offspring in my body. I'm stricken with pain all over my body as well.
Farmer Pierce has begun to notice the plague symptoms coming upon him. The egg-sized lumps and the body pains are only just the beginning.
How are you feeling now, Mr. Pierce?
Even worse, my fingertips have started to turn the color of night. What is happening to me?
I visited Mr. Horowitz a bit ago. He has been feeling fine, but he tells me that people are getting sick quickly. He also has been spat at and called names just because people are starting to blame the plague on his Jewish religion.
His religion is being blamed? How shameful. Hopefully that doesn't become an assumption. Thank you, Mr. White, for the visit, but I'm very tired, and I should probably lay down. The sickness will pass quickly. I'm sure of it.
We returned to our lovely English farm now 2 days after we first met Farmer Pierce and Farmer White. The men are in the farmhouse showing the symptoms of the bubonic plague. It isn't looking good for them.
Mr. Pierce, I'm afraid I have to blame my sickness on you. I became ill when I visited you shortly after you came from the city. And this sickness is causing a father to flee from his son when he became sick. And families are just being torn apart by this plague or invisible devil.
I don't despise you for blaming me. It seems to spread very quickly between people with close proximity. I'm truly sorry for bringing this upon you. I had no idea the sickness could spread so quickly. It's just been 4 days.
On a lighter note, how are your crops?
They're doing quite well this season. Because of the unpredictable weather and the illness, I have wrote my son to ask him and his wife to take care of my crops.
I have a child that is coming as well. And this child is bringing his son as well. I have no doubt that my farm will be well taken care of while I'm not there.
I'm grateful that I can hand off these farms to the next generation. Hopefully when my son comes, he does not become sick as well. To see much death in a short amount of time would be tragedy. Thanks for being a good friend, Mr. White.
You're a good friend as well.
Fast forward to the gnarly 1980s, where two friends sit together at the beginning of the HIV/AIDS epidemic. One has been infected with the HIV-positive blood from a transfusion following a thyroid surgery.
Remember how I had that surgery to fix my hypothyroidism?
Yeah, I do remember. Is something wrong? What's your damage?
Well, I've been feeling kind of under the weather lately, and I thought it was the flu, but when I went to the doctor, he said it wasn't the flu. I had something unique, and I still don't know what it is.
Well, what kind of symptoms besides flu-like ones have you been having?
I had a 104-degree fever, actually, and I had a pretty high heart rate for a while. And he says it's kind of new virus that transmits through blood, so it might have come from my surgery.
Ugh, I'm wigging out. That doesn't sound good at all. Maybe go to the doctor again and have them take some tests or find out where the blood came from.
I could check where the blood came from. The person that gave me the blood might have had this new virus. Gag me with a spoon.
The blood transfusion came from a man who had HIV, but he didn't know that when he donated blood. Now Emma was contaminated, and it won't be long until the HIV would develop into acquired immune deficiency syndrome, or AIDS. Without a cure or proper medication, Emma is left with a little less than 3 years to live. Now we fast forward to Emma's dormant phase in her virus. The dormant phase is when the virus is still in her body, but the symptoms aren't visible or felt.
This has been going on for a while, and I haven't felt any symptoms until just recently, but my symptoms have started to come back. So I went to the doctor, and apparently my CD4 count, which is the count for HIV, is now 190, and when it's below 200, that means I have AIDS. Radical.
Word. What does that mean for you then?
Basically, I'm really susceptible to the everyday diseases, so I could be killed by the common flu or the common cold or anything like that. I'm gonna live out my last days and just ride the wave.
I hope the best for you.
Even 300 years apart, two of the worst epidemics in history can be compared. The Black Death killed over 75 million people, which was 6 out of 10 people out in the world at the time. By today's standards, that would be 4 billion people. The HIV/AIDS epidemic has only taken 35 million lives worldwide, but millions more live with the disease every day. Transmission of the plague was mainly airborne, which has aided in the spread of the disease. While HIV and AIDS can be only similarity between the two is the aspect of scapegoating. Due to the strong following of the church at the time, the devout Christians looked to Jewish people as the source of the epidemic. The immense volume of death was happening parallel to the Crusades, one of the biggest conflicts over religion in history. Christians had turned the Jews into their primary enemy and was blaming them for the plague, and was no exception. The beginnings of the HIV/AIDS epidemic in North America was primarily between homosexuals and bisexual men. Everyone believed that HIV and AIDS was God's punishment towards the gays. At the time, homosexuals were seen as a disgrace to humanity. Today's homosexuals are more accepted now than they were, but can still be categorized as an oppressed group. No matter what factors you look at, the Black Death and AIDS are two of the worst epidemics to ever plague humanity.